Hey, what's up, guys? What's going on? This is Michael, and I thought I just reviewed my DVD collection. Now we have Scarface 1930s one, all the way to 2014's Paranormal Activity, the marked ones. So I'm gonna review it by going through each shelf, which Scarface goes from right there, and we'll go all the way to Hellraiser. And with each movie, I will just tell you why I picked it up, what I like about it, and that. So let's start with Scarface. Now with this one, I wasn't too sure about it. I mean, yeah, it's the original Scarface, but it's white and black, and I wasn't sure how that would make me want to watch it, just because it's a little hard to watch stuff in white and black, seeing how things are in color now. But as I was watching it, it was actually really good. Especially the fact that some things that they had in this, they pulled into the Scarface with Al Pacino. And I mean, I bought this just because of the name, but as I watched it, I realized it's a really good movie. I wouldn't say it's better than the one with Al Pacino, directed by Brian De Palma, but this one is still good nonetheless. And this one is directed by, as it says right here, directed by the legendary Howard Hawks. Okay, now, the next movie, Night of the Living Dead, directed by legendary George A. Romero. Now, I'm assuming this is the first kind of any zombie movie. I'm not too sure. But, again, another white and black movie. And really good. And as it says, the most influential horror film since Psycho. Which I have, by the way, and we'll be going over that too. Now this one, as I would assume it's part of a trilogy which goes all the way up to the new ones, but it shows you, doesn't tell you exactly how the zombies are made or anything like that, but they're just here to eat brains and kill you. And that is that. Original film, restored and remastered. Our next movie I have is Clockwork Orange. Stanley Kubrick's. He also directed and I guess made The Shining. Brilliant. A tour de force of extraordinary images, music, words, and feelings. Now this movie, seeing how when it came out, shocked me a lot. Especially, the time period it came out and all that. But I really enjoyed this movie. Actually, if you can recognize him, he also plays another horror movie, which is Halloween, the one directed by Rob Zombie. The next one, which they made a reboot, remake, whatever, of, is the Crazies, also done by George Romero. Now, if you compare it to the 2011 one, then that one probably is a little bit better. But this one, being original and what the effects were at that time and everything, this one stands toe to toe with the remake one. And this one came out in 1973. The next movie is Mean Street, which is directed by Martin Scorsese and has a young Robert De Niro in it, also starring Harvey Keitel, however you say last name, which these two would pair up again in Taxi, also directed by Martin Scorsese. And as I was watching it, I could tell how this movie shapes up the rest of his Martin Scorsese's directing career, because it has very similarities to other movies like Goodfellas and Casino and stuff like that. No, I never actually heard of this movie until I seen it one day in a half-price bookstore, and I looked it up on my iPod and thought I grab it. Next one, we have a young Al Pacino in Serpico. In this one, he plays a cop who joins the police force and sees all the crooked cops and, you know, all that. And I would probably say this is one of my favorite Al Pacino movies. My favorite being a tie between Scarface and Carlito's Way, Godfather being 3. But nonetheless, a very good Al Pacino movie. And our next one. This is the very first Death Wish. And for a movie like this, I'm shocking how graphic it can get further on in the sequels. But the first one was, they did it just right, and they got the point across. And how he became what he is by the end of the film. Which, pretty much, a guy who stops crime. Next film is a horror classic, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre Special Edition, which a lot of these movies I got from half-price books, so they may not have came with the original stuff that came with it if you would have bought it in a retail store like Target, Walmart, stuff like that. But this movie right here is a very good movie, a very good horror movie. Remember seeing it when I was little, and actually believing my grandma when she said this was based on a true story. That's how real I thought this was. I recommend this to anyone who doesn't like horror films. I would recommend them to watch this and see if this doesn't change your mind, because this is a very, very good horror film. And the next one is Carrie, which stars Sissy Spacek and John Travolta. And I'm not gonna lie, I like the reboot, remake, whatever you want to call it, more than the original one. But it was still a good film. Here's a little fun fact. Sissy Spacek also, she played in a biopic of, I believe, of Loretta Lynn. But yeah. You see it has a little hologram, whatever. Shows her skeleton, her skin melting off. And I will say the bathroom scene in this movie is nasty as fuck. Do not want to see tampons being thrown at a woman bleeding. But nonetheless, a good horror movie. And our next one, another Al Pacino film, Dog Day Afternoon. The robbery should have taken 10 minutes. 4 hours later, the bank was like a circus sideshow. 8 hours later, it was the hottest thing on TV. 12 hours later, it was all history, and it's all true. Now, I guess it's true. I never really looked it up, but another good Pacino movie. People would be surprised, like I was, that he's playing a gay in this movie. And if you look closely, that's his brother Fredo in Godfather. But anyways, pretty much they rob a bank. Takes longer than it should have, and you know they become national stars on TV. All Day Afternoon. Now, the next movie, which some people would call a classic, probably one of Sylvester Stallone's best movies he's ever made, is Rocky. Which I'm sure everyone has seen it. He plays a boxer who is also a loan shark, and then finally gets serious about it when Apollo Creed wants him to be his sparring, or whatever the hell it is. He wants to fight him just because it will create headlines and whatever. But yeah, did a really good job in this movie, which I think was his first movie. I'm not sure if this was or another movie. I'm not sure, but really good movie. It's his best picture of 1976. Excuse me. Our next film, which features Robert De Niro, which I was talking about earlier, Taxi Driver. Which is Robert De Niro, Harvey Keitel, and also a very young, what the hell is her name? I do not remember her name. Jodie Foster. That's it. So she would go on to be a great actress in Hollywood. But a very good movie. A tale of I guess you can say, a lonely guy who doesn't have any friends or anything like that. He goes and then sees how life is in his neighborhood and wants to turn things around. So he goes on pretty much to kill all the pimps and pushers, drug dealers, all them. I kind of wish he didn't survive at the end. Wish he would have died instead of them ending it on a mysterious note. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you do, and I won't spoil it for you, but very good movie. Our next movie has John Travolta and it's Saturday Night Fever. I'm not really a big actor, fan of John Travolta. He's alright, but I don't have a whole lot of movies with him in it. This is another good movie. Great soundtrack. Really great soundtrack. And I always say that this, Rocky, and 8 Mile are all in the same underdog type genre where they're starting out and pretty much as nobodies and become somebodies and want to turn their lives around by doing something, But yeah. Probably my favorite line in this movie is when he looks up at the poster of Al Pacino's Al Pacino! And scares his grandmother, or whoever the hell she is. The next one is The Hills of Eyes, which again, good movie by Wes Craven, but the reboot, remake, whatever you want to call it, is way better, I think. I'd rather go with a more monstrous look reasoning than just a bunch of normal looking people living out in canyons and caves and all that shit. But I'd say maybe just as graphic as the reboot remake one. But yeah, you can see my reflection. I really didn't go through all the special features on disc 2. Just didn't really care, I guess. But yeah, I'd recommend anyone to get this one if they like the other remake one that came out. And we're almost done with the first shelf. Dawn of the Dead. Now I'm not sure. I'm guessing it was a sequel to the Night of the Living Dead. But then wouldn't it continue also with the later movies? But he made pretty much the same movie with zombies, but 10 times better. They're in a mall. There's more scenarios they could run into. Pretty much around all this stuff like TVs, clothes, things they would want before the zombie apocalypse happened. Now they all have it at their disposal, and they even make a room with all the TVs, record players were big at the time. Wasn't CDs yet. But yeah, another good George Romero film. And our last one, and for this first shelf, is Halloween, which 10 out of 10 for me. This movie, another good classic horror movie that everyone should watch. 25th anniversary edition. Now I do know they're having a Blu-ray one coming out, I think September 23rd, which will have all the Halloweens, Halloween 1 and 2, and the TV versions, plus the Halloween 6, and it's all the scenes that they didn't end up using, they're going to reuse. But back to this. Good film. It stars Jamie Lee Curtis, which she would also be in other movies being directed by John Carpenter, like The Fog, which we'll be getting to. But pretty much, the first one they didn't tell you because he wasn't going to make it for the second one at the time, not knowing. But after the second one, you find out this is actually Laurie's brother, and he's out to kill her and all that. Very good movie though, nonetheless. Just pick it up. Halloween. And that will conclude with part 1 of my movie collection. Part 2, we will move farther down the 70s and make our way into the 80s. We'll be starting that off with Alien, but next time in part 2. Remember, like, subscribe, and if you don't, that's fine. And if you don't like this video, you can comment and say that. You can do whatever you want. But see you next time.